what brings you to Melbourne for those who are like, why is Jackson Haley here with the Ressies? What the hell?
Yeah, so Adelaide boy growing up. But then I went to the Giants for a couple of years and met my partner over there in Sydney. And then she moved to Melbourne when I moved to Adelaide. And so, the last few years she's been here. And so that was, a little bit of a pull back to Melbourne. And just, a bit more opportunity. And, I wanted to give it a crack over here. So enjoying it.
It's a good spot to give it a crack as well.
I love how he said he's fully invested in the it's my missus that got me over here.
Yeah.
He could have said it was Essendon VFL.
Yeah.
He could have said it was...
Keep the better half up
Lord
here.
of the MCG.
She'll be happy.
Brownie points in the bag.
Yeah.
She'll be loving that. You're an SA boy like Srey and Checkman. Central Districts boy?
Yeah, Doggies boy.
Yeah.
My neck of the woods.
Srey actually played for Central Districts
Yeah.
back in the day.
We've played each other before in school.
Seriously?
Yeah, we played each other before.
Srey playing.
How many did I kick?
It was bad. We had a really bad day. I went to St. Columba.
Oh, yeah, right.
So it was a really
yeah.
bad day. It was like our first year having like a proper school footy team.
What, Trinity? Trinity St. Columba?
Yeah, Trinity St. Columba. And it was a bad day. We watched you stream out the middle 4 or 5 times in the first quarter, and we had 19, and Trinity had a full team and bench. And I was like, it's going to be a long day, boys. Long day.
What age group was that? What year?
Well, I'm a few years younger than you, so I was year 9 playing open footy. So,
Jeez,
That was around the time you were playing for Central Districts, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit earlier. So I don't know how old you would be. I'm 22 now.
I'm 23, turned 24 this year.
So it might have been like year 10 footy, and I was just playing up.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was a long day.
You hear about like blokes like Sam Welsh playing a few year levels up just to because of his pure talent. Srey was it's just like
needed numbers. Nobody wanted to play footy. Nobody wanted to play footy there. They just said, have a crack, brother.
That was about the same time Srey was playing seniors at Elizabeth, getting coached by John Platten's
not
brother.
Kidding. Yeah, not kidding. Yeah, no, I got coached by John Platten's brother and played fourths.
And then he also played at Central Districts. So what has gone wrong?
Didn't play a game, but
you're the biggest what if.
No, it was just it was so cool because I just filled the numbers out. But every time I played footy, it was like, oh, no one else wants to play, so Srey can have a game.
Yes! Get him in!
How good's that?
For those who haven't heard the story, I think it's been told a few times that Srey has a Central Districts rep bag.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah,
I've
and
got
he still reps it to footy these days.
Well, it's just free. I didn't want to play for another one.
Got the 13 development program.
Yeah, no, it was the 13th multicultural development program. So it was like even less of like a you're not that good. We went on camp to what's that place in Henley Beach called the caravan park at Henley?
West Beach.
West Beach, yeah.
Big Four.
The Big Four, yeah.
Like iconic SA location.
A 5-day camp there, yeah.
With the inflatable pillow that you can jump on.
Yeah, and we played the Indigenous All-Stars in a game and we got walloped.
At a caravan park.
Oh, there's an oval, so Smosh West Lakes have an oval out there. And
That's the opposite direction. What the hell? Driven down to West Beach to drive all the way back to Smosh West Lakes.
Yeah, it was really cool.
There's no caravan parks in West Lakes.
Yeah, you tell me, mate. Seriously.
For reference, that's like staying in North Melbourne to play in St Kilda.
Oh, that's just,
No, it's not right.
That's not okay.
Yeah, so we had a really good time there.
Do you reckon your coach just saw West Beach, West Lakes?
I'm assuming
and
so,
thought they were close together.
Well, we're all from the north, I think, so it's like, bro, let's have a crack. Like,
Down there somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Oh,
That's
Schrader.
funny.
What you could have been.
Footscray West.
Yeah.
West St Kilda or something.
What you could have been,
That's so
Schrader.
funny.
That would have been unreal. Gee whiz. Back to Jackson. This isn't a.
That was way too much about me.
Yeah,
Sorry, fellas.
Shrey's not the guest of this podcast. It's all about Jacko here. Now, we'll go back to the start of your journey. 2018, you're playing in the SA team with the likes of Jack Lukosius, Connor Rosie, Kay Chandler, Tom Sparrow.
Isaac Rankin gets
Isaac
his nod.
Rankin.
Yeah, that was
Sorry,
pretty
I had him.
Pretty stiff.
Jeez, I had him on my list.
He'd be the highest paid player on that line. Yeah, I muted him on the list.
Very stiff.
He's the second name on my list, and I've just completely missed him. Was there a special bond amongst you boys to have such an undefeated season in the state comp?
Yeah, that was very special coming through with those guys. We won the 16s together, and that's probably like we'd all played against each other growing up, and that was probably the time we came together. And then, those guys you mentioned all played in the 18s as well, and we had a great run. Ranks turned it on against Vic Metro in the fourth game. It was one of the best games I've ever seen.
Probably the
someone play.
same.
He kicked 12 in the whole competition.
No, this game he's talking about, he had like 150 Supercoach points at half
It was
time.
crazy.
Jeez.
It was crazy. Like,
He put him in the midfield and he still kicked 6 or something.
yeah, it was something ridiculous. So he got us over the line there. But yeah, that was a pretty special team. We didn't really lose 16s or 18s, which isn't too common for SA teams. So yeah, that was pretty good to be a part of.
Definitely coming from SA at the time. I was working at West Adelaide, not with Ranks, not teaching him anything important, but we'd see him around a lot. And I remember all the boys were in at the club watching that game that you were talking about. And at the time, maybe it was like touted to go like pick 8 to 10, and then he just turned it on, and it was like every goal he kicked was like, holy shit, this guy could go pick 4. Holy shit, this guy could go pick 1. He was just working his way up the draft rankings that day. It was crazy, but there was a lot of hype in SA. I played cricket with Jacko and was doing some stuff with Rankin, but everyone in SA footy community knew all the names. They knew Haley, they knew Chandler to an extent. There was Rhett Montgomery. There was lots of names coming through the system that people were like, this is going to be. These guys are all going to come back to the Crows eventually.
Was there any names out of that side that you thought were going to get drafted, or you thought were like going to take the next step and that never did?
There's a few. Like, there's always guys like that. I remember you might know this bloke. He played for Ressies. Charlie Hay was his name.
Yeah,
he was like the best player I've ever seen. Probably under 15s, and I think he played in the 16s team that won the national championship too. I think he might have even captained that team. He was like a freak junior. He was one that was just, we all were like, yeah, this guy's gonna do some things. And it's funny, it's just one of those things in footy. Like, everyone sort of has different journeys, and for whatever reason, he didn't make the AFL, but he was just a phenomenal player at the junior level.
It's funny seeing the difference between 16s and 18s. I don't know whether it's the growth. Development, but there's been we had Ashton Moyer on the pod, and he was touted pick 1 at 16 years old, and then slipped to 27 by the next year. But then even to the extent of, like, I remember Billy Stretch growing up, if that rings a bell, but he was touted as like a top 5 pick. And then sort of just the growth or development. I don't know what happens in those 2 years, but Jacko put him on and Billy didn't. So
guys just grow at different rates, but it's it's good memories, those 16s and 18s groups.
Absolutely. I definitely, one name that did stand out to me was Boyd Woodcock, who's...
Did you see what happened recently?
No, I didn't.
Do you always see the
was that the clap? He clapped on the mic.
That!
And they called touch.
I did see that. AFL Central had the perfect photo of it, and there's a good foot-long sub between
genuinely.
the football and the player, and they've called it touched in what was dire times for Brisbane, which...
Probably a week off for the fella in green.
It's hard to blame Boyd. Like, if you're going to trick the umpire, then, it's on the umpire.
Don't do it in front of thousands of people watching the
Don't do it
live
in front of
stream.
AFL Central.
How many games of AFL football did Boyd Woodcock play? Like 3.
He could get back in the system.
He's not
past it.
Smashing it, fella. How many did he
Boyd's
play?
a really good player.
Look it up, Will.
It could be 20, it could be 3. I don't know. There was even the times of the sub.
I think he was a sub, and he wore 40, I reckon.
Yeah, but he came through with Rosie, and I vividly remember Connor's mum posting a photo of Boyd and Connor playing juniors together. At like 10 years old. They played for the same junior club. And then
me and Boyd played junior basketball together for Central Districts. in like 12s and 14s. So he's going really
He's
well.
also just got a ripper last name. Like, Woodcock is just such a good name.
Woodcock and Rosie. It was like pretty rare coming out of Port.
He played 12 games and kicked 8 goals for Port Adelaide.
He's a little bit stiff. A little bit stiff.
He's dominating the VFL.
He is
good player.
Should get back in the system.
Very
Hopefully
good
you get back in the system as well. How's the VFL trend yet? What's the go here before we jump back into some of your younger years?
It's really good. Like, they've pretty much cleaned house last year's program, so that we're starting pretty fresh, and tough start. We were on 4 to start the year, so it wasn't an ideal start, but we got the pies done on the weekend, which always means a bit more for the Dons people.
Absolutely.
So we're tracking in the right direction. I'm loving it. It's a good young group. Feeling good. The AFL boys that are coming back down are good to play with. So yeah, enjoying.
Have you had much to do with Drapes yet?
Yeah, Drapes played a couple with him as he was coming back. He's a ripper, isn't he?
He sits in the chair you're sitting in for
He's
200
a
plus.
Yeah, that's Draper's chair. That's a question I did have as well. Is the VFL and the AFL club like closely aligned? Is there a lot of like bonding between the two playing groups, kind of?
I think you find that clubs that have good VFL programs, they get that stuff right. So I think that's where the Dons are trying to get to. They probably felt like it wasn't that close the last couple of years, but everything I'm seeing now, it's definitely tracking in a good direction. Like the AFL boys getting around the VFL boys, vice versa, because you have to. Like you know, there's sort of 8 or 10 VFL listed guys playing with 10 or 12 AFL listed guys. Like if you're not sort of connecting, it's going to be pretty tough.
The SANFL, because I know the issues that Port and Crows have had with filling their lists out, where they haven't been able to pick up the listed players or anyone any of the sort. Have you found that a difference? If you're playing at the Crows SANFL and you have 10 blokes that have never been on a list, and you got to fill your team out with like ex-AFL blokes. You might want to drag in a Nath Freeman, or they tried to do that. You know, they might want to drag in 10 or 12 blokes and just test them out for the mid-season.
100%.
Has it been a big difference in the VFL?
100%. Like it's tough for the Crows and Port guys because you're right. They can't pick up those delisted guys. I think even like SANFL League guys, they can't even.
Yeah, they can't be freshies.
Yeah, so it's tough.
So if you're Matt Crouch and you get dropped down after 150 games, you're playing alongside Div 1 players that are getting called up.
Yeah.
But if you're Sam Draper getting dropped down, you're competing with Jacko Haley and others sort of like guys that are still very much in the system. I
think that's where the VFL has a bit of an advantage, and that was another reason why I was pretty keen to come over. Is like you do have that, the competition's pretty strong. Like the SANFL was really strong, but it's probably a different type of. It's a bit more contested and older guys, whereas the VFL, like we barely have guys over 23, 24. So it's still that younger, a bit more AFL aligned, it feels like. But the SANFL's, like you saw what the SANFL guys beat the VFL guys in that state game. So like they're a great comp. It's just probably a different style of comp is what I've found.
Yeah, and I think it sort of helps as well with the VFL and just Victoria in general having so many AFL clubs based in Victoria. I feel like the pool of players would be much bigger now that they're getting teams from Brisbane, Gold Coast, Southport as well. Like it's sort of incorporating a bit more, and like VFL is becoming a great competition.
Yeah.
Like not only is it leveled down from the AFL, it's like you said, it's players playing AFL and blokes who are like next in line to play AFL.
Yeah.
So it's exciting competition to watch.
100%.
For sure.
Who's some of the other boys at Essendon that you? I don't know. I don't know much about the Essendon list. Who are we talking? Who's on there that's ex-AFL that the listeners might know? Yeah, the Essendon VFL boys.
Xavier O'Neill was probably one. He played for West Coast.
He was their first pick one year, wasn't he?
I reckon. Yeah, he was my draft year. Yeah. So,
Super draft.
Yeah, the 2018 Super draft.
That was a massive draft.
So he's there. Jack Paris.
Yeah, from St Kilda.
Yep.
Is there another one that was like West Coast and then went to the Giants, or was meant to go to the Giants?
No, that was Jared Brander.
Sorry,
he played for the Giants.
Similar
after
players.
West Coast. Yeah, Zave's good.
Jack Paris, his mum is Olympian.
Yes.
Nova Paris. Yeah.
Gold medalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swimming, I assume.
The more you
I thought it was running.
Yeah.
Athletics, track.
Athletics.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But then we got a bunch of young guys as well that are sort of just coming through. Have played in that under 18 like coach league. It's a very young group. I'll be one of the older boys there, so it's a little bit different going from the Crows to being one of the older boys.
Playing with Matt Guelphy on the weekend, does he glow as much in real life as he does on TV?
The Prince,
Oh, mate.
Prince.
He's one of the best looking blokes in the business, especially out on the football field. And I had to make sure I asked that question.
Yeah, no, he's glowing out there. I don't know what he does to his skin or something, but he's doing something right.
Looking after himself.
The other question is like, if you go from Giants to Crows, now Essendon VFL, that's basically an AFL club. You're training at the same location and inside the club walls. You've been at 3 AFL clubs before the age of 24.
Yeah.
If you get picked up in the mid-season, is that 4 before 24?
Yeah, geez.
Is that, you've seen more of the AFL than anyone else.
Yeah,
He knows everyone's secrets.
Yeah, it's been definitely unique seeing a few different clubs. It's not what everyone is looking for when they get drafted. You know, you want to play at the same place for 15 years, but you know, like you said, like there's still advantages, and you know, my journey, like I still feel pretty lucky to have done what I've done, and to see inside a bunch of, you know, different clubs, and yeah, everyone does things a little bit differently, but they're all trying to do the same thing, I think, at the end of the day.
Does it give you any leadership? You said there's a lot of young boys coming through, and you've been at 2 AFL clubs. You're now at Essendon. Do you give a bit of like experience, you guess, from like, hey, this is what we did at the Giants, but at the Crows we did this. Are you laying it down to the young boys? Are you teaching them how to get in, or? Yeah,
I try not to lay it down, but like, yeah, you're trying to help out these young boys. They definitely have a lot of questions, and you know, there's everyone wants to get picked up. So yeah, I'll try and help them out where I can, but you know, I'm learning a lot off these guys as well. And Blake Carousel is the coach, and he's a ripper. He knows his stuff. So yeah, we learn plenty from Cara.
He was at a few AFL clubs too, so...
Yeah, Richmond, part of Richmond's...
Just everyone get across.
Well, he was at Essendon
Oh, yeah,
and Collingwood.
playing-wise. Yeah.
No, I don't think Freo, but...
He played Essendon, Collingwood, and there was one other club.
It wouldn't be Brisbane, would it?
Could be Brisbane.
Yeah.
But he coached at Richmond. He was big in their
Yeah.
2017, 2019 flags.
Are there any older boys on the Essendon AFL list that are playing VFL, or is it all pretty young?
Do you get Goldie? You're looking to get
Goldie?
Goldie?
Goldie, yeah. I'd love to have Goldie to have it down, but he's going probably too well in the
He's
in the
only a
lines.
few away from the 10,000 hit outs.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
this conversation.
Yeah,
It's
right.
okay.
Too many big boys.
So I don't know if you were following along on Anzac Day of the game, but Scott Pendlebury hit
Oh,
10,000 touches.
That's my idol growing up.
It came up on the screen. They had some graphics come up. Even though it was an Essendon game, they did the right thing and
yeah.
put it up on the screen for all the Collingwood fans.
Mate.
Well, yeah, anyone following me on Twitter, I was chasing home Todd Goldstein's 10,000th hit out.
Did he do it same day?
He's 7 away.
7 away this week.
Yeah,
So he won the same
he needed
thing.
26 hit outs. He got 19.
Is that the record?
Yeah, he already holds the record.
it. Yeah, yeah, nice hit outs.
but this is...
That's next
They
level.
were talking
isn't
about storming the field for the 10,000 hit out.
It's you were talking about storming the field.
All I'm imagining is when the Dons play this week, is going to be Checkers just running out by himself
Just imagine if
with
he
a
hit it.
10,000 banner.
If he hit it on the weekend, it would have been in the last quarter, and we know that game was drawn.
Yeah.
Imagine like 3 minutes to go, here's the 10,000 hit out, we all storm the field. The game could have been changed.
Yeah, wow.
it?
Topsy-turvy.
That almost makes Pendle's 10,000 disposals more like incredible.
Yeah.
10,000 hit outs versus 10,000.
Imagine that the same
That's
day.
ridiculous.
The same game.
That'd have been magical.
2 milestones in the one day.
Right,
That would have
Checkers
been...
just streaming onto the
It would have been like Srey getting his first goal and Jarrett taking his hanger. Everyone would have stormed the field twice.
Yeah,
No one stormed the field for Scott's 10,000th though. I don't know what's going on.
It was a little bit...
They'll count him down. They'll count him down in the cheer
genuinely
squad.
counting him down,
Everyone was sort of counting it down.
There's a lot of AFL apps open after he had his
Yes.
third touch.
There was a bit of controversy during the week, wasn't there? 4 or 5.
Yeah, a lot of news stations and articles were saying we don't know if it's 4 or 5, and I'm like,
Someone even said he did it last week.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, someone went back through and counted one of his games and said Champion Data got it all wrong.
Oh,
Jaden Popowski, he's very hot in the takes. He's very good on Twitter about his stats, and everyone was going, "No, he counted it back, and his 10,000 touch was against Port."
well, Jason Pleasure, that's
Pleasure.
sorry, man, but the rest of the world.
I didn't think the Port was going to get a mention on the pod.
He's a
today.
West Adelaide legend.
Yeah.
Jason Pleasure was laying it down to Isaac Rankin back in the day.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Taught him everything he knew.
Yeah, they're both at the Crows doing it.
Yeah, he's Port coaching at the Crows, is he?
I thought he was back at the Crows.
Yeah.
That's good energies.
That's great energies. So we'll go. We've come to Essendon, but we're going to go.
We'll wind it back again. Sorry, I got
back.
excited.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
excited
yeah.
about.
Todd Goldstein, 10,000 yeah.
I saw a
Goldstein,
segue to Todd Goldstein's 10,000 hit out, and I ran with it.
Yeah.
I was like, we took the long way there, but I saw we could go back to Essendon, and eventually I could get talking about the 10,000 hit out again.
20 minutes later, Checkers will update his Twitter feed with something about it.
Anyways, when you go back to training, let all the boys know 7 hit outs is all he needs.
This week.
You count him down, yeah.
Huge.
He could be against Bailey Williams. Could happen in the first quarter.
That was my man.
So it's 2018. It's the Super Draft. You've got the likes of Walsh, the Kings, obviously all the SA boys that we talked about. it's
pretty rare to have 3 SA boys in the top 5. That's never been anything to happen before. So there was that hype of the 3 SA boys are probably going to go top 10. We didn't know they were going to go that high. I didn't know if it was going to all fall into place with a lot of academy bids going on and everything.
Yeah.
You were probably in contention for top 10 with the academy bids. They didn't know where they were going to land. There was Taron Thomas and there was a couple other bids. Nick Blakey. So it was like... Haters could be in the top 10.
Wow.
These 3 could be top 5. We could have 4 in the top 10. And then for SA, that's nothing that comes out of SA. They never get that sort of stuff. So
you only seen it now, eh, Srey?
I've gone back through. Yeah. Wow.
It was a super draft. They say it's the best draft of all time.
Pretty good first round. You skip past 14, but...
One thing I got to ask is Paul had the pick before you got picked?
Yeah.
Any word at the draft table there? Because all the hype was about... It was just after Dangerfield had left, just after they brought back Bryce Gibbs. And the Crows were a massive talking point, being like, look, they've haven't got all enough picks. They've got all the top-end talent, and they're not going to be able to get them. We're having all these issues with players leaving, Jake Lever and Phil Davis, and everyone wants to piss off, and no one wants to come to us. So let's pick all local boys. And the year all the local boys are in the draft...
We took a bloke from Tasmania.
They trade all their picks away and take the Tassie bloke.
Yeah.
So was there any... What were the local clubs saying to you that night? What were they saying before the draft?
Yeah, I was speaking to Port probably more than the Crows because they had 12 and then they had, I think, like 5 or 6 picks after that. Whereas the Crows, I spoke to the Crows at 9 and they was like, that clubs never tell you what they're going to do, but you sort of just get a vibe. And the vibe I got from the Crows was, we're not going to take you in the night, but, give us a call in a couple of years' time. And that's, that was sort of the way the conversation...
I'll put that in my calendar.
Conversation went.
I'm just hoping Rankin just...
Yeah, so I think, that's...
Just slipped.
They were just in a tough spot where they didn't quite have a high enough pick to get, Ranks or Luco or Connor. Like, they would love those blokes, I'm sure. But, yeah, you have those chats... in the weeks leading up, and you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, the Giants was a good spot to land. I was pretty happy to land there.
The club had only been around for 6 years, so there would have been like was it quite a young-ish sort of group? Because all the veterans that were the foundation of the club sort of have had their time pass, and then you've got sort of the newer, but like the fresher legs of Jeremy Cameron finding his feet, Toby Green sort of operating, and Josh Kelly and all those boys. So was it a good time to be?
Oh, mate, it was an unbelievable time, like an unbelievable club to get drafted to. One, the talent they had, and then the other one was just the leadership they had, like the guys you mentioned, but then obviously Phil Davis was captain, Cullen Ward was captain, Matty DeBoer was one of the leaders. He was, one of the most impressive blokes I've ever met. They just did things really well, and then the fact, like, there were 7 of us that got drafted, and we all lived together in this place called Breakfast Point. So it's a pretty cool setup to get drafted, and then you're just living with the other first-year boys in Sydney, and that's the other, the Giants have to do these things well because no one's from Sydney. So, when you get drafted there, we're the only blokes that, we know. Everyone just hangs out with guys from the footy club. So I think that's the reason why they're such a tight-knit group, and they've had some of the success they've had is they've just set things up really well in all areas, really, from the start.
When they first came in, didn't they? It was Gold Coast had all the issues of everyone went to Gold Coast and no one knew each other. It was a bit mismatched, and they had the big red shed, and the whole training
out of a shipping container. There's maggots in the slushy machine.
But the big difference GWS made, the big difference GWS made was like, we're going to make it a hub. Like, it's weird because it was around COVID times that we started talking about hubs, but they rarely made that location a hub of like, 100%. Hey, all the players can do everything they need, very close to the club, tight-knit community.
100%. That's what it was. And the first year, everyone on the list stayed at Breakfast Point. And this is an amazing place. Gated community, IGA in there in the facility, pool and tennis courts and stuff. So for a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids,
you're living the high life.
Oh, mate, it was
like being Richie Rich.
This is unbelievable.
Where was the roller coaster at?
It was it was unbelievable. So we were very lucky.
Just reminded me, we got to put a a lookalike in for the fines this week. Srey looks like the fat kid from Richard Rich.
Oh man,
Okay.
can I stop getting fined? Man, I've got 10 fines this year already.
You know the scene? You know the scene when they walk into the house? He goes, "You got a McDonald's in your house?"
I'll watch it when I get home tonight.
Sorry, it just hit my head. Make a mental note to send that to the
I'll
skip
never
of the
say that.
twos.
I'll never say
Yeah. When I'm editing this, I'll jot it down.
Srey, can you say the line? You got a McDonald's in your house.
You had a McDonald's in your house?
You got an IGA in your house. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can imagine Dylan Buckley saying that when he come over to play a bit of tennis against you.
Yes. Now, speaking of leaders of the club, you shared a list with Dylan Buckley,
Who didn't get a mention in any of the leaders of the club.
that was
Had
stiff.
19 blokes mentioned.
That was probably on me. That was pretty stiff from you.
No, that's a very fair enough thing because Dill was rocking around with Tommy Sheridan, playing in the Magoos, but obviously we work for Dill. Have you got any stories that a PG
He's sitting just outside the door and he's listening right now.
Yeah.
I can hear him out there.
Dill's
Yeah.
quivering outside?
Mate, what I remember a lot about Dill, when you mentioned Tommy Sheridan, like these guys were, as everyone knows now, because they're in a bit more media, but they're very, very funny guys, and to have both of those guys in the locker room, like it was every day, like boys would be laughing, and they really like brought the group up. Like they made it an unbelievable place to come in. So that was Dill and Tommy. They had a real good setup that 2019 year. Zach Srey was another one who was very, very funny.
Yes.
So they just had a good mix, like a lot of funny blokes, a lot of good leaders, and it was a very, very good list that year.
Yeah, I reckon Dill. Yeah, did you ever make fun of Dill for his little hobbit haircut that he used to rock into the
Frodo
club?
haircut.
Yeah,
That was more Carlton days, wasn't he?
a bit of.
I reckon he tied himself up a bit by the time he got to the
He's
Giants.
living the Sydney high life. He's
Yeah,
out on the
yeah.
strip. What do they call it? King's Cross.
Yeah, King's Cross.
Yeah,
Definitely.
changed man in Sydney.
Definitely. If you could go back to your 17-year-old self, pre-drafted, you've been to 2 clubs, you've been in the system for years. What would you tell yourself? What would you tell your 17-year-old
For someone who's
self?
23, 23?
23.
23, you've seen a lot of the AFL,
Yeah, 100%.
which we've sort of mentioned just before. You've seen so much of the footy in such a short amount of time
Yeah.
without playing a shitload of AFL.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
seen behind the scenes and you've learned a lot of things and met a lot of players.
Yeah, 100%.
Going back, telling 17-year-old Jacko Haley in
Yeah.
2018, just coming out of the under-18s comp, what would you tell him? What would you say to him?
Oh, I'd say enjoy it. Yeah, like, it's pretty.
Is there something you would change? Is there something you'd want to go about differently coming into footy? Is there something you probably didn't really think?
Well, I think one for all guys, like I would tell myself this, but for all guys coming through, it's so important to play multiple positions, and that's probably one that got me early days. Is obviously my best position is a mid, but so is 50 other guys or 50,000 other guys in the country, really. So I think that's a really important one for guys coming through. Like, if you can play a half forward flank or half back flank, and you see a lot of the guys that come out, like even the very best draftees, like most of them, Harley Reid's a bit different, but most of them aren't playing CBs early days. So I think for guys that are coming through, to be able to play wing, half forward, half back, that'll hold you in pretty good stead, I think. And then the times in the midfield will come, but that's probably what I'd say to myself and to any other young boys.
The times have definitely changed very quickly since probably about that period you came in. Wasn't really a thing that was getting talked about in the AFL, but now you look at locally in SA, Matt Crouch, someone who's just one of the best mids at the Crows, getting a lot of time in the SANFL.
100%.
And then at Port, you got Ollie Wines, who won a Brownlow, and the next year they were like, is he in our best 22?
100%.
Because they're one-dimensional players.
100%.
But that one-dimensional never got thrown up 6-7 years
yeah.
ago. It's only really
100%.
come into the media recently.
100%. I think the other thing that has probably changed a little bit is, like, back when I got drafted, there was a lot of talk about these big mids, like the big, like, Cripper was doing his thing.
They were talking about Luco at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they were talking about these big mids, which I think helped me. I was just coming through that time where everyone was looking for these big mids, whereas now it's not so much. No one really cares about the size of the mids. It's they look for that explosiveness and these different traits. So the game's probably changed. The game's gotten faster, and that's probably another thing that's changed a little bit.
There's a vivid memory of Nick Blakey playing a little bit of mid-time in one of his first years, and they went on to the fifth quarter or whatever it is after the game. They were like, Nick Blakey, 192 centimetres or whatever. Patrick Cripps, Bont, and did all the comparison, and they're like, this is the future of the game. And then the next year, no one wanted to tell me.
Well, they're still around. Those guys are still stars, but like, there's so many.
Now you got Nick Watson in there.
Good little, like, it doesn't matter. Like, and it's great for the small blokes, because for so long, if you were under 180, it was a real tough to get drafted. But these small guys are lighting it up. At the moment. So it's funny how the game sort of changes.
It moves so quickly.
It does move quickly. It does.
There's also that element of, like you were saying, playing different positions, and I think a good example is Harry Sheasel. Coming through the system. He's a centre half forward, but with his tank, with his big frame as an 18-year-old, you can put him off the half back, you can put him in the midfield, and then you can throw him down forward. But North don't want to waste him down forward because it's not getting down there. And with Nick Larkey and blokes like Charlie Comben and all that playing down there.
Charlie Comben playing down forward.
He played forward last week.
He played forward last week.
For like 3 quarters.
Mate,
we just speak to Chom. Tell him to come play with Didford Ressies.
Down back a few weeks ago.
It was like probably like their best defender, and then who got hurt? Someone got hurt, or I think that's how they.
Clarko's like a boxer, just throwing punches all the way down. Like he's copped to one to the face, and he's on the way down.
I reckon they pulled Sellers, or they pulled someone off, and
Sellers didn't get played.
No, it was the second week Sellers played.
It was the Hawthorn game.
Yeah, they pulled Sellers off. I think
Will's favourite player.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Sellers is a great man.
I think they pulled him, and they played Common up forward, and I think.
I don't say the same about Srey.
Well, I'm a good man, so come on.
But my point is, there's a lot more flexibility in the AFL at the moment, and like any good midfielder, any young midfielder, is now being able to play off the half back. You got your Harley Reid, you got your Nick Dacos, Harry Sheasel.
It's just the way the game's played. It's just faster, less rotations. You rotate into a different position rather than rotate to the bench. There's times where Dane Swan would gut run so much, chuck him on the bench for 30 seconds. He'd take a phone call and come straight back on. And now it's more like, instead of chucking for 30 seconds there, can we chuck that person at half forward for 3 minutes?
That was when they were unlimited, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he would just run on and off all day.
And they would come to the bench for almost the sake of like, kick a goal, they'd be on the bench by the time the ball was bounced back up, they're back on field.
They're standing up, ready to go again.
Like it was the craziest of breaks, but these days they got to change it a little bit differently.
Yeah, because the cap now, like you have to. Yeah.
I think that's the weirdest thing, getting subbed off after kicking a goal. I would hate nothing more than that.
Subbed off or like benched?
Benched, yeah. Like you're red hot, you've just kicked a snag, you've given a few to the crowd, and then all of a sudden, the man in the pink has said, come on.
Trey did it on the weekend.
Come on for a spell.
Caden McDonald kicked his first, and the bench said, Caden, come off, and Trey was on the bench. And you go, no, Caden, stay on.
I'm on the bench, I'll come off. And then like, Dot's come off. I'm like, he just kicked like the best goal ever. I'm like, just stay on, man. Like, you'd be right.
He overrode the bench coach.
That's what you need more of, I reckon.
Yeah.
Stay on.
Well, if Trey didn't do that, did Caden McDonald kick 8 on the weekend? We'll never know.
Is there anything in the AFL system about that? Is that a thing where if you kick one, you're more likely to not kick it 2 in a row, so they bring you off?
No, it's nothing like that. It's just that guys, like before we run out, we've got set rotations. So you look on the board and you'd be like, it might be Haley 15. So I know 15-minute mark, I'm coming off. And so some guys, they'll kick a goal and then their turn to come off comes. But I think it's like you're right, because you kick a goal, you're hot, like you're feeling good, you want to stay out there. So I reckon there needs to be a little bit more adaptability to those things. But it's as simple as that. Like there's a board which tells you when your time is to come off, and guys just follow it. Because you don't want, if you're the bloke on the bench as well, and you're saying, no, man, I'm staying on, and then you get stuck for 10 minutes.
And you never get on.
You never get on.
That was straight on the weekend.
I played 2 minutes in the third quarter.
Selfless though, mate. Like someone's kicking 8.
No, I tried to pull blokes off. No one was listening to me. I was trying to get blokes off. Then I realised we can't have me and Will Taylor in the full forward. I said, can't get Will off. He just went on. Couldn't pull anybody.
That's a dangerous combination.
I remember there was a commentator that was. Have you ever seen that movie Moneyball?
Yeah, cracker.
Yeah, about like not filling the team with your A-listers, but just filling it to the best of their potential. Sort of like and there was a commentator who was going on about Moneyball type sort of stuff, about how the reason they drag the player off is because percentage-wise, you don't kick 2 goals in a row. You're kicking. You think about it, like a player can kick like 3 goals in a game, but they're not going to smack all 3 in a row. They might kick one in the first.
Unless you're Charlie Curnow.
Even then, like they've kicked one in the first, one in the second, one in the third. How often do you see a player kick 4 1/4? Like when it happens, we really highlight it.
Cody Wayman 3 times this year.
Charlie Curnow twice this year.
Yeah, they're standing.
You guys are playing idiot minds here. Like, I'm telling you that when those happen, they come up on the screen as like, wow, this is an amazing feature of our game. It's not an everyday feature of our game. Yeah. So the commentator was really like, I think they pull them off because percentage-wise, like playing the numbers, they don't go back to back. So
I don't, unless clubs might do it differently. That's not something that there's no discussions been had like that.
I think it was BT actually who said that. So
very goofy man. Jackson, obviously you've said that you're nominating for the mid-season draft. Mm-hmm. Is there any nerves towards it?
Not really, to be honest. No, like it's one of those things that if it does happen, that's great. But if not, I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at generally. Footy's awesome, but there's plenty of other things too that I enjoy. But having said that, I'm still doing everything I can to get back there. And if it does happen, it happens. That's great. We'll see how we go.
A lot of list spots this year.
What's the draft process like? And coming out of Crows, talking delisted free agency, SSP period.
Yeah.
Mid-season draft, like have you had any contact from clubs? Do you have your manager really ringing you all the time, or is it more like a once in 3 months he just calls you, is everything all good, man?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you check in every now and again, and there was like we had a few chats when I got delisted, like that's when it's a bit busier, that we have a few more chats obviously, but yeah, these days it's sort of he'll check in how I'm going and stuff, and we'll touch base every month or so. But then, it's just about playing good footy. Like, there's nothing really managers can do for you. Like,
they can't really wind up those chats until the mid-season comes.
Yeah, exactly. They can't go out the field and get a kick for you. So.
Those mid-season drafts, there's been times where blokes kicked 8 the week before the mid-season and got picked up. So, but you can't
100%.
Really predict how that mid-season is going to fall come round 4.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can predict it, a week out. So that you might have a bit of interest now, but that can fade. It can pick up. It's such a weird way that mid-season works. There has been blokes who've had a shit out start to the season, kicked 12 goals in 3 weeks and found themselves on an AFL list.
100%. Yeah. You just never know. Yeah. So see how we go.
Trey, you could get picked up.
No, I'm nowhere near him, man. I'm so far from it.
Katie McDonald's a sniff.
Yeah. Blokes who actually find the footy are, not me.